Seattle was meant to be my escape. A city of rain-soaked streets, endless coffee, and the promise of anonymity. I, Eleanor Vance, a simple history teacher with a past I was desperate to leave behind, found solace in the misty embrace of the Emerald City. My apartment, overlooking the restless waves of Puget Sound, became my sanctuary. Its windows framed the ever-changing moods of the sea, mirroring the storm within my own heart. By day, I lost myself in the bustling corridors of Seattle High, where I breathed life into dusty tales of history for my students. By night, I explored the city's hidden nooks, from cozy coffee shops to second-hand bookstores, weaving them into the fabric of my new life. It was during one of these explorations that I met Eric, a man as enigmatic as the city itself. He stood under a flickering street lamp, a silhouette sculpted from shadows, his piercing eyes holding a depth that seemed to peer into my very soul. Eric was a writer, he told me, drawn to Seattle's brooding beauty and melancholic charm. His words were magnetic, drawing me closer with every syllable, until the cacophony of the city around us melted away. Eric was a man of contradictions. Intense yet tender, distant yet captivating. He seemed to understand me in a way no one ever had. Our whirlwind romance was a blur of whispered promises and late-night conversations. But beneath the poetry of our love, a darker truth lay hidden, one I was too blinded by passion to see. He proposed on a starless night, his voice trembling with emotion as he pledged his undying love. Yet, even as I accepted, a shadow of doubt crept into my heart. He insisted on a twilight ceremony in a secluded manor outside the city. My family raised concerns about his aversion to sunlight, his refusal to attend church, and his unease around garlic, but I dismissed their fears. Love, I thought, could conquer all. The manor was a Gothic dream, a towering structure perched on a windswept cliff, its dark silhouette cutting into the bruised sky. The ceremony was intimate, almost otherworldly, with the air crackling with an energy I couldn't explain. As Eric slid the silver band onto my finger, his cold touch sent a shiver down my spine. His eyes, once warm, now glowed with a sinister light. That night, as the celebrations wound down, the shadows in the manor seemed to grow darker, heavier. Eric paced the room like a restless predator, his agitation palpable. Unable to bear the suffocating tension, I retreated to our room. But as I reached the door, a blood-curdling scream shattered the silence. I turned to see Eric standing at the top of the grand staircase, bathed in moonlight. He was no longer the man I loved. His face was twisted in a monstrous snarl, his fangs glinting as he held the lifeless body of a waiter. Blood dripped from his hands, staining the marble floor below. "Eric," I whispered, my voice trembling. He turned to me, his glowing eyes locking onto mine, a terrifying smile spreading across his face. In that moment, I realized the truth. The man I had loved was gone, replaced by a creature of darkness, and I was his prisoner, trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape.